Okay, looks like we have some attendees joining us. Good evening, folks. We're going to get started in about 10 seconds. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. But if you'd like, in the meantime, leave your name, where you're from, what type of business you're in, how comfortable you are with AI in the chat. We love to hear it. We love to get engagement. So, folks, if you'd like to leave your name, where you're from, what type of business you're in, how you utilize AI with your small business at this point, we'd love to hear it. We'll get started in about, let's say, about 10 seconds. Get going. Attendees joining here. All right. So to be respectful of everyone's time, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do now, my name is, good evening, folks. My name is Joseph Cordova. I'm the program manager with the Sacramento Valley SBDC. And I will be your host for this session. So just a couple of Q&A, or just a couple of housekeeping notes. Please utilize that Q&A if you have any questions. The chat will be monitoring, but the Q&A, we're able to kind of see the questions as they come in. And sometimes with the chat, it can get lost in the feed, but we'll do our best to make sure that we're monitoring both. And just an FYI, this session is being recorded, and you will receive a copy of the recording, as well as any documents that are mentioned throughout the webinar. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and tell you about a little bit about the SBDC for the new folks that are joining us this week. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Okay. And let me get into this. There we go. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is a quick disclaimer. I'll give you a split second to read over it, but you will receive a copy of these slides in a follow-up email as well, so you get a chance to dive in. Okay, so introducing the Northern California SBDC and the SBDC in general. Who we are, we're a nationwide program with over 1,000 locations. We help to stimulate economic growth through business development, proud resource partner of the SBA, and we're proudly hosted by California Capital at the Sacramento Valley SBDC. We serve 36 counties in the Northern California Regional Network. The Sacramento Valley SBDC, we serve Sacramento, Yolo, Sutter, and Yuba County. So what do? Provide professional, no cost, no obligation, technical assistance. Basically, that's mentorship, business consulting, training, and resources to small business. So some of the services include writing a business plan, understanding financial projections, access to capital, financial management, bookkeeping, HR, digital marketing, social media marketing, procurement, AI for small business, as we're going to dive into. The SBDC and our advisors, we can definitely help you out in any of these areas. It's extremely easy to sign up. Visit our website, sacramentovalleySBDC.org. Click the red sign up button. It's a quick 5-minute application portal. That's going to get the ball rolling on getting you connected to SBDC services at no cost to you. We also highly recommend to sign up for our email newsletter. You're going to receive updates on any trainings or networking opportunities that we have kind of coming down the way. So sign up for those newsletter. That newsletter, you're going to be the first to know about free trainings, free networking opportunities that can help your small business. We do have a couple of upcoming events. These are in person for the Sacramento folks that are at our office, and you can find more information about these events by visiting our website. September 25th, we have Branding Basics, and September 30th, we have Boost Your Sales for the holiday seasons. And these are going to be in-person folks, and you'll receive more information in the follow-up email. So this is our basic contact information. Our director is Suyi Lee Alex. Our email is info@sacramentovalleySBDC.org. Phone number is 916-655-2100. And as I mentioned before, the website is sacramentovalleySBDC.org. All right, and with that, I'm going to throw it over to our host for this evening, NorCal SBDC Regional Advisor, Kathy Bollock. Kathy, go ahead and take it away.
Hi there. Welcome back to the AI Power Hour. And today we're diving into advanced ChatGPT, customizing AI for your brand, for your voice, everything like that. So once more, a big thank you to Sacramento SBDC for making this possible. And if you're not already a client, really, it's so worthwhile. And if you've joined us before, awesome. If this is your first time, welcome. We have an hour together, most of which I'll cover with demos, walking you through how to use AI, and then we'll have a little bit of Q&A at the end. But please put in your questions, and Joseph will be monitoring that. I'm Kathy Bollock, certified AI specialist and marketing specialist and advisor with the SBDC. So today what we're talking about, like I said, is kind of customizing and getting what you want out of ChatGPT. So this is focused on ChatGPT specifically, but the other options do have some similar things. So even if you are using other tools, if you're using Gemini, if you're using Copilot, whatever it is, you should be looking for some similarities with this. And it will also give you some ideas to go back and ask them, okay, how do I do this with these other things? It doesn't exactly translate, but that there are some similarities. So again, so today I'll walk you through how to make ChatGPT work like it knows you. So your business, your tone, your goals. And here's what we're going to explore together specifically is your custom instructions. So how you put customized information to guide ChatGPT's tone and understanding of you. Projects, how you organize your chats, files, and workflows, custom GPTs, building your own AI assistant with a role and a personality. It's doing one specific thing for you. I love doing this stuff. This is so much fun. And then depending if we have time, I will talk a little bit, just at least mention at the end, some voice and mobile use with ChatGPT, so that you're thinking about carrying it with you, using it on your phone. So why this matters so much, this is actually a really, really important class. This, along with the last one on prompting, are the most important things. Customizing it is going to make it faster, smarter, and more consistent. It's how you're going to achieve your brand voice, in the specific things that you need versus just getting kind of these generic, conversations going.
Hello, Kathy. I'm not sure. Are you sure? Are you meaning
I'm
to
not
share your
sharing
screen?
yet.
Okay,
No.
gotcha. Perfect.
I'm
Perfect,
almost
perfect,
there, but yeah,
perfect.
just getting us set up first. But thanks for checking. So anyways, once you start understanding how to use ChatGPT or whatever tools you're using better, you're going to be able to stop repeating yourself, get answers, and it's going to start learning from you. And remember last time I had said, one fun little thing you can do is get a picture of somebody who is your assistant and put it right by your computer, because that's who you're talking to. And so you kind of are looking at this person who doesn't know you yet. And so these are some of the ways that you're going to get this person, this new assistant who's brand spanking new in front of you, to start learning. So a quick note before I start sharing my screen is that some of the features are available and free. And actually, I will start sharing my screen because I do have a chart for you on this. Let me see where this is. Okay, there we go. So these are some of just a quick comparison of the options with ChatGPT. We're going to talk about custom instructions, and the free version and the paid version both have this. So memory, there's more memory, there's more it's going to learn about you, more that it's going to understand over time if you have the paid version. It will have some lightweight, abilities even in the free version. And I'll talk about memory a little bit more. Projects. Interestingly enough, though it's completely free in the paid version, it's also free to do projects in the. I'm sorry, it's available in the paid version completely, and the free version, it's still there as well. It just limits how many uploads you could do. And when I say uploads, I mean, for example, let's say I'm creating something and I want to upload my brand guidelines. That's an upload, right? So how many uploads I'm doing. Custom GPTs, which I'm going to get to. You cannot create custom GPTs in the free version, but you can use the library of them. And so I'll show you both of those. And of course, you can do that completely in the paid version. And then the voice mode, which is one of the most amazing things, is going to be, let's just say voice mobile app messaging. It's all one word there. The paid version, yes, you have almost unlimited, there is technically a limit, but you could be talking there and using it, upload it, doing the same things on your phone as you would be on your laptop, for example. And then that's going to be more limited as you use the free version. So that one's definitely cranked down. So those are some of the differences that you're going to see. So my point is that even if you're using the free version, you're still going to be able to do some of this great stuff. But I do believe that for the cost of the assistant that you have, to have the improvements, it is worth it. To it, not necessarily doesn't have to be ChatGPT. It can be another tool, but certainly one of the top ones, I would say. And you might have some that already come with one of your plans. Like you might have, like I have Copilot that does come with my Microsoft 365 option too. Okay, so let's start with custom instructions, and I will share my screen again. I just want to share a specific screen. Hold on a second. Let me find where I am here. All right. Trying to find the right thing. It's not showing me the right one. Hold on a second. I've got to find the right. There it is. All right. So everybody should see now my my screen for this. So I'm going to start off with ChatGPT. I'm going to be going through a few different tools today, just a few, because again, this is ChatGPT. So I won't really talk about anything, but I should say I won't talk about anything but ChatGPT today. Sorry, I've got other tools open and I'm not covering those today. So your custom instructions are how you set, again, the tone of voice and everything like that. And where that appears on here is if you look down the bottom left. I'm trying to see if I can get my little share popping on. I'm not seeing it. Annotate. There we go. There we go, right down here. So this little part down here is where I can start going ahead and creating and being able to interacting with the with my settings. So here is where I've got, sorry, my screen this gets all in the way. Okay, so there's customized ChatGPT, and there's also settings here, which goes to the exact same thing almost. Because if I click into here, here's personalization, and there's my custom instructions again. This is really normal. This is how the internet or just computers work. You can get to things the same way. So I can click on my custom instructions here, and this is where you're going to set the important details. So walking through this, what should ChatGPT call you? I just have my ChatGPT call me something different. For one thing, I share my ChatGPT with my husband. His name is not Max, but this is our name that we use for this. But you could put your name, you could put, Queen of the Desert, whatever you want, whatever you want to be called is just fine. What do you do? And some good information about here. And again, this is just think of that person who's sitting there across from you. It's their first day. They know absolutely nothing. They've read nothing about your company, about what you do. You're giving them the briefing, so you don't have to ever repeat it again. So a little bit about that. Right now I have mine on what personality should it have. And you can select between a few of these. So I just have mine cheerful and adaptive right now, but I will play with them and just see what I prefer most, right? If it's important to you to feel like you're really comfortable doing this, having a listener might be helpful. If you get tired of the way that AI can be very sycophantic, having a cynic might be better for you. So you can, and again, you can go back and change these. It's not like this is set. What traits should ChatGPT have? And this is where you tell it what's going to be helpful for you in its kind of responses. How do you want it? This is your assistant sitting there. What makes a good assistant to you? I don't like verbosity. I really like something to be concise yet challenge my thinking. I get tired of all the emojis. So I'm telling it, some overall, and this is just for everything we do. This is not for one specific chat. It's for everything. So I'm giving it some idea, don't be a passive assistant, sharpen my thinking. So I've got a whole bunch of different things in here of what for me this would be helpful. I'm not going to go over all of this in depth because the best way that you could play around with this would be to start creating what things that matter to you. And then the second thing would be, if you have any doubts, ask ChatGPT to walk you through this. So you could ask it to show you how to create your custom instructions. So, and then anything else ChatGPT should know about you. So I just give it a little bit of extra details about things that I'm interested in, because I love when it talks about some other stuff. I don't have so much in here, but it's some helpful things that I wanted to keep. If you don't have like I said, you think about you're shaping the personality, you're shaping how this new your collaborator is going to talk with you. So think of it like it's a person sitting there and you're briefing a new team member. Be honest and specific to what you want. And then once you're done, you would just hit, so you create this and just hit save. And there it's on enable for new chats. So it just knows going forward, it's going to use these. Okay, and again, if you don't know what to enter, let me just show you how you could, a kind of prompt that you could put in here. If you weren't sure, let me just go to another version of ChatGPT here. I could do this. I want to add custom instructions to ChatGPT. Please guide me through the 5 questions. Here's one of my favorite phrases. You remember this from last time, right? One at a time. What should it call me? What should, this one's pretty obvious, right? What you want it to, what it's going to call you. But, you could have it walk you through all of this. So whenever in doubt, that's your best practice, is asking ChatGPT how to help you figure it out. So, and then from here, let me say, going back to here, there is also advanced down here, and these are some advanced capabilities. And these are, do you want these turned on? I'd say the best practice is it's generally best to leave them all on, because you can inactivate certain ones for certain projects or custom GPTs, as I'm going to show you. So unless you're like, I really don't ever do coding, you can turn that off. It helps it focus more. That's the main reason why that's on here, is it avoids any kind of confusion. So again, best practice, so if in doubt, leave them all on there. Okay, the next section that I want to show you in here is your memory. So we covered custom instructions again, and then we're talking about memory. And this is really important. Memory allows ChatGPT to remember important facts about you over time, so you don't have to repeat them in every chat. Think of it this way: if this is my new assistant, and I don't have memory turned on, this person comes in and it's like Groundhog Day for them. They're new every time. They remember nothing. So this isn't why, especially if you're paying for it, why would you pay it for it not to have memory? So this is the whole point, is that you want to have an assistant who's going to learn. So the main thing is turning on the reference save memories. That's going to save it. You can also, this reference chat history. This is also how it's going to remember information across different chats. I'm working on so many different things. Plus, my husband uses this account, so I don't necessarily want it to learn across all of the different things I've got going on. Instead, I use things like projects to try to keep things all in one place, which I will show you. And that way, that's the reason why I have that turned off. If you're working on like one business and it's pretty consistent, I would turn it on. But I'm working on my own business. I'm working on SBDC, and I'm working on different clients, and I'm doing all these different things that I don't want that to happen. So I turn it off. So manage memories. This is kind of all the things it's going to remember about you. And you can go through this, and Kathy is creating a checklist for advisors at the Small Business Development Centers to go over with new clients, so there's all sorts of different things. And my point is that if I don't want something in there, I can go and delete it. So it's a good thing for you to go in and check periodically what it's remembered about you. Also, so let me see here, anything else. I have the reference record has history on. This isn't really working yet anyways, so I'm not going to cover it right now, but I leave it on for whenever that new feature will be there. One thing that you can also do that's really interesting, again, you would save that, make sure to have your memory turned on, is that you can create something. Please remember that I specialize in marketing technology and AI. I put for hospitality. And it's going to remember this. So if you have things and you don't want to go back into the custom instructions, you can just tell it the kind of things that you want to remember. You can also do this. I'm not going to go into mine because it might include some personal things. You can ask it, what do you remember about me? So if you don't also want to just hear a list of all the things that it's got, remember about you. And then you can also tell it to, for example, to forget things. So this is how you're going to manage, right? You've got an assistant, but instead of the assistant sitting there at the water cooler, hearing what you're talking about, and you are controlling what its memories are. So, so again, that's the main things that you should get out of this is setting up all of that custom instructions and your memories. And you are going to get a handout that's going to mention this, because that is going to be your mission for tonight, is to go ahead and create custom instructions for any AI tools that you are using. Let's see. One other thing I want to show you, let me just move here. I'm going to go into a new chat here. And I've got this little box up here, and this is called a temporary chat. This is a really helpful tool over here to do this. And the way I would use that is, like, let's say, for example, I'm doing a demo right now, and these aren't real situations, and I don't want it learning about these fake businesses that I'm covering or these fake examples. So I might turn on a temporary chat. It just looks a little bit different. Right? That's all it is. And it just means that it won't appear in history. It won't affect anything. If all our history is down there, it's not going to affect that. It's going to be completely out of the loop. So that's another thing that you could use. Another situation you might use that is, let's say you're using something that you find very sensitive, or maybe you're doing a, chatting just to find, for a friend, or some topic that you don't want it to remember, you don't want it to be part of your history. You've got that little tool there too. Okay, so on to the next part, which is going to be able to cover projects and custom GPTs. So if you look on my left bar here, I've got all of my new chats, so I can search chats, and I've got my GPTs here, my custom GPTs, which I'm going to cover. And then I've got my projects there. And then I've got all my past searches there. So my projects are all sorts of different things, right? I've got, I'm going to cover some of these. So like I've got one for SBDC AI Summit, which is an event coming up. And I can click on here and go to all of my past chats regarding that topic. So a project is just a dedicated workspace for keeping your related chats, files, and instructions for a specific workflow or for a project. So when you want to use a project, you want to use a project whenever you have, again, files or conversations or tasks organized around a specific topic. I think I've got ones in here for, hold on one second. Got health. I've got my clients, some other past client work. I've got one for my home, taking care of my home and projects. I've got all sorts of projects in there. And so, this, I won't go into it, but there's all my see more, and I've got a bunch of projects in there. And so you can have unlimited number of projects, just keep them going, free or paid version. So, but whenever you're working on something that's ongoing, so like this is my example with the AI Summit that I'm working on. It's an ongoing thing. I've got all of my discussions here. So the marketing plan for it, email suggestions. I'm working on all sorts of different topics here. So you can see from the very beginning, of coming up, I was coming up with a name and then sponsorship and then all sorts of different things going on. So they're all in one place and I can return to them at any time and keep, going with the discussion that I'm having. So that's the benefit of having a project. I use them, like I said, quite a lot. And whenever you want to do a project, maybe keep it organized, organize something and start something. So think about how you would do this if this was a file. How will it help you remember? So let's go a second. So I want to show you, again, so if I would manage your project, like especially for maybe clients, campaigns, maybe let's say around a content calendar or something like that, repeated tasks, something like that. Anything like that would be helpful. So the way you would create one would be to hit new project and you would name it whatever you want. Maybe it knows I went to Copenhagen before, I'm not sure. But let's say, for example, I'm going to call this one SBDC demos. Why would I do this? Because I've been doing a lot of demos and I want to keep them kind of cordoned off from all my other work. And here's the trick about projects is that there's this little, when you start them, and you can only do this when you start them, I click the settings up there. And by default, the project can access memories from outside chats and vice versa. So it can see across everything. But I'm going to click project only because I don't want it, if I'm going to do a demo, I don't want it influencing anything else. I want it to be completely separate. So all these demos I do in this kind of workshop, I'm using fake examples. So I don't want any of this to be. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to just call my project SBDC demos. I also have those little things that I can create. Now, I can edit the project. Simple stuff like that, but I won't be able to do that. I can add instructions. So I'm going to add really simple instructions here. Whoops, you don't need to do that. This demo project simply for best examples for small businesses in Northern California. These are by the SB, whatever. I just wrote something really quick. And I'm going to save that. And it's going to show up in my, there it is, as a new project. So whenever I'm doing a chat, can do a new chat here. All I do is go into my demos and I can have all sorts of multiple chats in here. And then all I can do is start, doing what I want. So whatever kind of simple thing, come up with an idea or an AI workshop targeted to Sacramento businesses. And there we go. And my point is that whatever I put in here, it's going to live now in here. It's going to live in my demo, in my SBDC demo. So I can always go back to it. All of the projects I put, and I'll put another one. And, anyways, so it'll do the same thing eventually as all of this, which is my AI Summit, where I have my flyer text, I have this, and I can go back to any of them and continue them. So I have not only the history, but I could pick up back with one that I've done before and continue it. I can also go ahead and, again, edit the project. So edit the name, edit the instructions. And this is how I would typically do something more along with the instructions. Here is what it says, creating an event, focus on demos, not discussions, blah, 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 by the SBDC, use appropriate language. So I'm giving it all of the kind of instructions it needs, just an overarching thing. And there we go. So that's pretty much how you would use a project. And so I would suggest that you start thinking about what might be some projects that you would want to group things, because having them organized well ahead of time is going to help you a lot with finding things, right? So I've got my SBDC clients. I'm not going to click that open because it has some, right? I have clients in there, and the work I do with them is confidential, but I will have all sorts of chats that I've been chatting with them about, and it helps me think and maybe brainstorm with them or do other things. And the other interesting thing you get to think about is that every project, you can even have its own tone. So like, let's say you're working on a different business, two different businesses, you can tell it what the tone is. You can tell it what kind of voice to use, all sorts of stuff, the context, all of those kind of things. You can upload files to it, right? So we've got the add files button right there. So now that I've got my flyer ready, I can upload that here, and I should. It's overdue for this. I just finished finalizing my flyer. So I can upload this, and now it becomes one repository, and it will learn off of the things that it does. Okay, so let's move on to custom GPTs, which is another option for you. So besides the projects, you also have custom GPTs, and a GPT is a custom assistant that does one thing. I like to think of them as a one-trick pony because they're really focused. So I have, again, some fun things that I do. I created an SBDC Lean Canvas guide. That's a type of business plan. If I'll show you what this looks like. And if I click on this and I edit the GPT, it says what it is, the description, the instructions that I gave it. And if you notice, this is getting pretty long, right? These are getting longer. I could go a lot more, and I can upload files just like I normally do with anything else. I will show you one other one before I get to, there we go. I did one, I know ServSafe. So I created a ServSafe food manager quiz. This is a really fun one because what I had it do is I gave it an example quiz. I gave it the California code for health. And, I did so I had a couple of example exams, and I uploaded them. And actually web search should be off for this one. I don't need anything on for this one exactly, but I'll show you why, what I'm talking about in a minute. So again, a custom GPT is going to be how now a custom assistant, whereas projects were about grouping chats. This is now a very targeted purpose. So it can have also like your projects that, you can have tone, purpose, you can have instructions, you can have capabilities, what it should do. So think of it as now a assistant there who has a specific job personality, a job title, and maybe a personality to go with it. So I could have it be like a social media coach who writes like a savvy Gen Z creative director to help me write that way. I could have it be like you're a client onboarding assistant for my web design studio or something like that. So it's what a custom GPT does versus a project is it's about a repetitive task. It's about something I'm going to do over and over again. So I have an SBDC email generator, helps me generate stuff, and then an analyzer, which analyzes it once it's done. So I actually created two for that purpose. So again, so some repetitive tasks, and some other examples might be like, say, client onboarding, any kind of reports you do, proposals, if you write grants, anything like that are great uses for custom GPTs. Content generation, any kind of content generation, like if you write a regular blog, captions for social media, video scripts, anything that you're doing repetitive. And then some internal tools, like I showed you, I did a Lean Canvas guide, a marketing planner, things like that. And the interesting thing about, you can also share your GPTs with clients or staff. So like this Lean Canvas guide that I created, which helps walk people through a Lean Canvas business plan, I've shared it with clients. I created this not for myself, but to share with clients. So very, very cool way of using this. So I'm going to create one now so you can see how I would create this. So I go into GPTs. Oh, and I wanted to show you one thing first. If I click, once I click under GPTs, there's actually, whoops, went to the wrong place there. I'm actually in a library of GPTs, and these are not ones I've created. So there is a whole library. So you could even find, remember I did one for ServeSafe. Let's see what somebody else did. ServeSafe Tutor. And what it's showing me is that over 100 people have used that. That's not very many. And, but there's some other ones out there. I specifically uploaded the California Health Code, so I trust mine. I don't know how to trust these ones. So I don't use this library at all. If you have the free version, you can use it, and you might find some really great tools here. So let's say you're looking for a marketing planner. You could look here and see what you come up with. And it will give you a bunch of options. 10,000 people using this, that's pretty good. This might have some really good stuff to it. I'm just, because I do this, I write my own. So, but nonetheless, this is a good place for you to start. If you're in doubt, is do that. But since I clicked GPTs, I'm going to click up here and create, and I can create my own. And there's two options here. I've got create, and I can just give it a prompt and tell it what I want, or I can tell it, or I can configure it from manually. I like doing it this better because I really can understand all of the pieces here. And for this purpose, I'm going to create one called a content remix studio. So how to, create a GPT to repurpose content into formats for different platforms. And so, for example, this might be used whenever, let's say you've got a great blog post or a transcript and you want to turn it into something shorter, like a LinkedIn post, an Instagram caption, or an email intro, something without starting from scratch. Also keeps you consistent, which is nice. So I click the create, right? You saw me do that. And then I'm on, like I said, configure versus create. I prefer to be over here because it just gives me the control. If in doubt, though, and you want to see how it works, try the create option. It's just you put in a prompt and it creates all this stuff, and you can see how it's going to work. So instead, I'm just going to say what it is. The description is just really short, transforms long form content to platform specific formats, meaning that whatever I tell it, whatever it's going, if I want it to be for LinkedIn, if I want it to be for something else, it will do that. And then I'm going to tell it its instructions. You are a multi-platform content strategist for the SBDC. So I gave it its role. Already sounds like a regular prompt, doesn't it? But it's, again, a focused one. You take long form content and repurpose it into platform specific formats. So I'm taking this assistant, I'm giving it a role. For each request, return a table. So I'm telling it even how I want the format to be. Platform, format type, suggested copy, notes. Use the client's tone because I'm using this to work with different clients. Keep it clear and avoid generic marketing phrases. And then conversation starters are just optional. They're the little things that pop up. I'm not going to worry about that. I would upload files. This is really helpful. Let's say you've got your brand guidelines ready. Let's say you have some really good examples of things you've done in the past in some way. This is the place where you upload files. I don't have anything for this purpose. And I'm going to let it, I'm going to let it choose its model for right now. Let me see if there's anything else I want to put in here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to also put in some personality traits. I did get some of that ready too. And just give it a little bit of personality, how I want it to act. Capabilities. So the capabilities are things such as, do you want to go out and look on the web? For example, the one I showed you on the food health code, no, I don't, because it will make up stuff. It will find junk on the web. So I don't want it to touch the web. So if I just want it to look internally, this is already a smart assistant. So does it need to look on the web? Do I need it to pull up current information? If I don't, I click it off. So that would not be needed. But like for and for the California Health Code, I clicked it off too, because I wouldn't want it to do that. But let's say this was a custom GPT for market research, and I need to pull up current information. Absolutely. Then it would be on. So Canvas, which does some other stuff I won't cover, and image generation. I'm not covering image generation on this. This is just for long content, so I don't need to do anything else. And we're not going to cover actions at this point. And so I'm going to click create. And here is where I can choose who is going to see it. Only me, anyone with a link, or the GPT store. The GPT store is what I showed you. I think the vision is that ultimately things would be for sale, but they are not at this point. Anyone with a link means I can share it with a client or something like that. And only me, if it's really just for me, then I would click that. I'll leave it anyone with the link and click save. And there it's going, it's creating, it's there, and it's published. And then I could view the GPT and get started. So there it is. It looks, again, we've got our normal prompt and everything else. But I can then start. This is kind of a hard one for me to show you to use, because I told it I was going to give it long form content, and I don't have any long form content for it. I don't have, actually I do. I used one last week. Let me see if I can find the lunch break. I have a folder in here that I did create. If I can find it. There it is, demo file. So it is exactly the one I did last time. I did a blog. And this was the blog on the transformative power of yoga. So I'm going to now put this in here and help me transform this into a simple, let's just say, an email post, email blurb. And there we go. It has the yoga, tells a little bit about that. It gave me a little blurb. I haven't even had to go back and open up the document and read it again. It took it right out of there and made a little blurb. And then I can keep going back. Great. How about a post for LinkedIn? And then we can go from there. And remember, this is a conversation. This is a little bit longer than I would like. How about just a little bit shorter? Oh, and it also, I don't actually already asked me that. Should it draft shorter variations, shorter, but not that short? And there we go, a little bit tighter. Perfect. So this is, again, how I'm going to use this. And so when I'm done with it, it will always, these ones are a little bit different. They will appear, they come up, they don't appear like a project. With a project, I can go into my project. Sorry, let me go to this one. Too many things here. I can go to and I can even click it over here on the left and open up and see what's in it. So there we go. That one didn't save to it. And I don't want to show past client work. SBDC, some of the work I do with the SBDC. So again, this is just another way of opening and closing the folder, but there are all the different things. I'm always doing my SBDC work. There we go. All right, so how are we doing for time? Looks like we're up to 15 minutes. The last thing I do want to mention besides, let me see if I can get us on here. And that is that you can also do all this on your phone. And a reminder that you've always got this option. Let's see if it goes. Let's try that again. Default browser. Open. Okay, there we go. So we've got another option here. 1 second, I'm going to try to mute this because you're going to hear me twice, I think. Recording in progress. And okay. So now I am on my phone, and this is another way of working this. Is everybody getting an echo? Sorry, I might be coming through twice. Let's see. Let me just walk away and you're going to hear me on this. Okay, so here you've got some of the same stuff. So we've got the temporary chat. Let me turn some.
Hello, Kathy. If you could unmute on your phone. Sounds like it might be muted on both.
Let's try that. I'm getting, you know what, hold on 1 second. Yeah, I'm having too many problems trying to make this work. Let me just. I was hoping to show you a little bit more about that, but I'm getting too much. I can't seem to turn off the echo. So, my point is that with your phone, you have exactly the same things. So if you want to open your phone, download the app, and you'll be able to access all the exact same things. Just click into your ChatGPT, and you're going to have your projects, your custom GPTs, all of the same things. And up in the corner, same thing. Once you click chat, you also have an option for doing a private chat, which is, like I said, what you do whenever you don't want things to be held in memory. All right. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can hear you, Kathy.
Hold on just 1 moment. There we go.
We are getting these odd kind of black squares on the screen. I'm not sure if the rest of the audience can see that. If there may be some open windows. Sometimes I've seen that with Zoom.
Let me stop sharing and try again. Actually, you know what, to be honest with you, we are pretty much ready for Q&A anyways. That was just a little bit of an extra to try to talk about using your phone, because I just don't want anybody to forget that this should be one of the things you should be doing too, you know, to be more advanced with ChatGPT, is regularly using it. So if you get on your phone and you use your mobile app, and then the other great thing that you can do is start clicking, again, doing voice interaction. So you use the bottom, one of the bottom buttons where you click and just start having a conversation with ChatGPT. So that's really good. Like, let's say I'm out for a walk and I want to talk about, you know, whatever it is, what's 3 good blog topics for an artisan pretzel maker in Sacramento, you know, going into the holiday season. I can start having those kind of conversations, and it's going to hold them on my ChatGPT too. So I'm still going to have that conversation, that chat, so I can go back later and pull that information and reference it. I can still put it under a project. So let's say I have a project I call holidays, holiday planning. And if I'm a pretzel maker, I start planning my holiday posts and things like that under there, for example. Anyway, so that's one last tip for you to do, is make sure you're starting to incorporate your phone, your mobile, if you aren't already. So with that, let's go into questions. We've got 10 minutes left. What can I answer for you? And again, your mission, the main thing is to think about about getting your custom instructions. So, and if any doubt, ask ChatGPT to lead you through that. And there will be a handout from today that will lead you through these different steps. Go through projects, custom GPTs, and your custom instructions. All right. Joseph, any questions?
All right, it looks like we do. So let's go. We have some Q&A. I see a lot of ads saying Galaxy AI is better than ChatGPT. Any thoughts on that?
I don't like to think about anything that's better. There's always stuff that keeps. So what's happened with AI is that certain things leapfrog each other. So I don't really worry about that. For all the purposes that we're talking about, the more important thing is to find the tools that are going to work for you. That's it. And that's why I had the first class just on tools to introduce you to some. So I would suggest trying it. If you like it, stick with it. That's terrific. I haven't found, I mean, I jump between a bunch of them, and I do some paid, I do some free. So I have paid ChatGPT, I have paid Copilot, I have a lot of other paid specialty tools, for video, for music, for all sorts of different things I do that are AI based, for Adobe. But for general purposes, my suggestion is stick with one or two, and then I use the free version. So I still use Google Gemini. I still use Claude by Anthropic. I love those. And actually that one I might be paying for shortly because I really want to use it more. So even doing this class today, things have already changed so much that from the last time I taught a class like this, that the more important thing is that it's a tool you like and that you're going to stick with, because they will all change on you. So and you're going to have all of your information in it, right? If I have to go to a new tool and have a new assistant sitting in front of me and start working on changing it, training it again, then I'm back a few notches. So that would be the thing. So I would suggest, absolutely try it. If you like it, stick with it. And you can always ask AI, and any AI, doesn't matter which one, tell me, give me a comparison of why I would use this tool versus that tool. It's always a good thing to ask. Because there are some slight differences, like Claude is known more for some of its really long form stuff. It can take some massive documents. So if that's the way you're working, yes, it can actually be better. So there are some differences, but to be honest with you, with the clients I've worked with the work I've seen, it has never been about that. It's really been more about consistency. All right, next question.
Okay, so is this presentation focused on a specific version of ChatGPT, 3, 4, 5, or is it applicable to
No,
all versions?
no, it's all, yeah, all the same. I mean, it's not about the version, and you'll hear that, you certainly can jump into click on 5, mine set on 5 standard. And that it's I hate talking about the versions too much because things change. So like my versions that are showing up right now, it gives me an option for legacy models, but it's automatically clicked onto auto. So it's deciding. The one of the main things to me that's out there, and this is also true in some of the other ones like Copilot, is that you can now choose between a quick answer or a thinking answer. So some things are lend themselves very easy to quick thinking. So in ChatGPT, it's instant versus thinking. And like I said, Copilot, similar thing. So that's kind of the direction things are going, how intensive is the question that you're asking? If I'm asking it to do market research, for example, if I'm asking it to generate some long form content, I might want it to take longer. I don't want it to just generate quick answers. But, for a lot of things I'm doing, give me an Instagram caption, give me 5 Instagram captions. That's quick. It doesn't need to really think too much about that. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, so this is a kind of a two-parter. Since you cannot change the project only setting, can you simply create a new project and drag chats into the new project to isolate them? And then kind of the second part of that, in other words, I have a bunch of chats that are bleeding. If I start a new project, can I stop the bleeding or do I truly need to start over?
It's a good question. I haven't ever tried to do that. I I don't think I've ever tried. Let me just see, because I think yeah, I don't see a way of, I'm just checking on my own computer right now if there's a way of doing that. And I don't have a way of doing that that I'm seeing. Because I'm seeing if I can move a specific chat, and I'm not seeing where I can do that. Let's just ask it. So I'm going to go into this is the kind of thing that you want to do, is if you have a question like this, I've been fortunate. I haven't had to try to do that. So, but we can just ask, can I move into ChatGPT, because I need to tell it what I'm doing right now. Can I move a chat into a specific project if it wasn't already there? And see what answer it gives. Yeah, it says you can't. Chat has to be started inside the project in order to live there. So it just, verified that. And did you say there was a second part to that question?
The second part was, in other words, like the portion about the bleeding. I have a bunch of chats that are bleeding. If I start a project, can I stop the bleeding or do I truly need to start over?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, that is the way it is right now. So, yeah, so you can't. But you could start, the positive to that is you end up with a lot of chats sometimes that they started out a little bit rough and around the edges, and you could take some of the ending of that kind of chat, where things sharpened up, and restart that conversation in the new project. I think one of the things that I find with the project that is really, I have chats that are, I mean, massively long. If you printed them out, I mean, it would take like, a good part of a ream of paper. And that was one of the mistakes that I found that I was making too much, is I just got to start a new chat in this project. It's still in the project, but you can have, it learns within the project. So when you create something in a project, the main thing is that you can let it get also too long. And I would notice it was just taking so long to answer, maybe because it was going through all of this information. It can already see the information throughout the project, but it was having a harder time responding. So, so that's one of the benefits also of using the projects, is that you can have that chat and it will still see within the project all of the other chats. But yeah, sorry that it can't do that at this point. All right.
Okay. Could I instruct ChatGPT to reference all work stored in a particular project folder, or would it reference all work in ChatGPT?
So when you do the project, you're in the project when you set up the project, and you cannot change this afterwards. So you've got to get the project set up properly. They are all defaulted to see information outside of the project as well. And so that there's this ecosystem, all, of everything being seen. But when you create the project, you can automatically change the default so that, sorry, one second. So that it is only seeing within the project. So that was the example that I gave, where I created the project name and I clicked on settings and I said project only. So, and that means it's seeing only information within that project. It's not seeing outside of it. There's no ecosystem going on there. But you have to set it up, unfortunately, that way.
All right. So let's see. Next question. Can you tell ChatGPT or any AI, here's a good example and here's a bad example, so it learns what to do and what not to do?
Sure. Yeah, you can by telling. In fact, you should do that when it also creates bad information or information you don't like. Tell it what you don't like. train it that way. So definitely, always tell it. And if you take it, if you get an example, an answer, and you come and you've reworked it, which is what you should do, provide that final answer for it. Provide that this is what my final. So, like for example, I do the handouts for this, and I use some of ChatGPT, but I'm always writing it. I believe everything I do, I have touched and affected. So I come back, I make changes, and then I upload it again so that it's learning what I want. Right. So a good assistant, you're showing them how you want it done and what the final copy would have been. Otherwise, it won't learn what that final best example was. So yes. And bad examples, sure. This, avoid something like this, and can be very clear that these are examples to avoid. I mean, I give it certain instructions too, things I don't like. I don't like emojis so much. I don't like a whole bunch of different things. So, yeah. Okay, time for one more question.
Okay, one more question, folks. And if you have any more questions, you can always respond to the follow-up email. We'll make sure we get those answered. Any thoughts on using free versions to hide who you are from the language models? A paid version likely knows who you are and can merge everything you enter with anything else it finds out about you.
This is a real challenge, and this is a real challenge for AI in general. And mind you, when you get the paid version, there is some protection about it actually, learning from you. So you can make sure it doesn't. You can't turn that off. But generally speaking, I mean, this is a free version. You can try to mask yourself, but then it's not going to really learn what you do. I actually started off that way. I started off trying to, that's probably the reason why I still have Max there, because, partly because it's my husband and I, but also partly because I don't like sharing a lot of information. But if I don't, it won't know anything and it can't respond properly. And the moment I want to ask about my website and to analyze my website and to help me with my bio and to help me with all of these things, it can't do that. So I have, I'm extremely always cautious about privacy. So my tack instead is to make sure that I'm using a paid version and be cautious on sharing certain information. Anything that's sensitive, I don't share. So that's about it. But it could look up all this information about me anyways. And so, it is what it is. But it's a really good question, I think, that you're asking. I just don't think the best way of you're going to be able to really hide it from by getting, by doing free versions, because then also you're going to start bypassing and trying to mask who you are, and so it doesn't learn from you, and that's going to be hard. Joseph, is there any other questions that I need to cover? Because I am happy if there's any other things other way.
Yeah, it looks like that is the final question.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks, folks. Just want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. As I mentioned, you will receive a copy of the recording and the document, the handout that's going to be in the follow-up as well. Kathy, is there anything you'd like to say before we sign off for the night?
Great seeing everybody. I believe our next week is going to be on marketing strategy, which is another really exciting one. So if you think of the prompting and this one, your customization and getting your setup, your workspace, these are tools just to make sure you're doing it right and have everything working for you. And now we start turning towards creating some really amazing stuff. So we get into your marketing strategy next, and how you use AI for that. So that will be really fun. And I just want to thank again, Sacramento SBDC for making this possible.
Thank you, Kathy. And I want to give you a huge thank you for being with us and sharing your expertise. It's been great so far. And I anticipate the rest of the series is going to be amazing. So folks, we will see you next week, and you'll have all the information in the follow-up email on how to join. And we hope to see you next week. Tell your friends. The links are request a link. There's a new link each week to sign up for the first time. So that you'll find those on our website, Sacramento Valley SBDC.org/events. So if you know anyone that can use this information, please spread the word. We'll be here for the next couple of weeks. So we got a long haul ahead of us. So looking forward to seeing you all for the rest of the series. And thank you again, Kathy. Everyone have a great evening. See you next week, folks. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.